up, everybody? I hope all is going well. I want to thank you for stopping by the channel as always. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you to the Silver Screen Analysis. I'm Anthony DeGioia, and I'm pretty much always talking about movies. Today I'm going to talk about this sequel to 1980's The Shining. It's, of course, called Dr. Sleep. It's coming out to theaters this weekend. This is based on the 2013 novel by Stephen King, and it's written and directed by Mike Flanagan. You got Ewan McGregor in the lead as a grown-up Danny Torrance, with Rebecca Ferguson, Kylie Curran, and Cliff Curtis as the surrounding headliners. And this story, of course, takes place in the years that follow The Shining, and now adult Danny Torrance is leading a pretty rough life. The events at the Overlook Hotel have left a negative impression on his life, and he's simply trying to find some sort of peaceful existence out there. And then you have this girl named Abra, who also possesses The Shining. She comes into his life, and together they're going to be forced to stop this group of lone travelers that are known as the True Knot, a collection of people who feed off the steam that are produced by the young who shine in order to gain power for themselves. This leaves dead children in their wake, and it's a mission that Torrance is going to take on to kind of shed the darkness of his past and, of course, to stop the killing. Now, I do want to start with a disclaimer. I've never read Stephen King's The Shining nor Dr. Sleep. I watch and review movies, so this review is going to be based on the film alone and not how the tie-ins with the novel were crafted. I'm just a guy that's talking about what he thought of the film that he watched on the big screen. I absolutely love The Shining. I probably watch it almost yearly. I watched it again the other night before seeing this one, and it still holds up immaculately, so I was definitely excited for this sequel. Director Mike Flanagan has had some hits recently that I really did enjoy with his work on The Haunting of Hill House, as well as feature films like Oculus, Hush, and Gerald's Game. So with him being the driving force of the film, it did show a ton of promise for me. The cast also looked pretty good as well, and I was ready to really rock and roll. I was eager to learn more about this world that The Shining created, and overall, I did enjoy this movie despite the issues that I did have with it. It was captivating in large sections, slow in large sections as well, and it was anchored by great performances and a story that showed a tight attention to detail that I can appreciate. So first, let's talk about that storyline. I thought it did do a great job of connecting to the first film. It really explored the hardships that Torrance had to deal with in his life, particularly the alcoholism, that I found to be very compelling. The first act also effectively captures the nostalgia of The Shining while still setting its own tone. There's a few series of scenes that take place immediately after the events at the Overlook, and some inside the Overlook that really served as a detailed montage to kind of forward through the decades to where we end up starting out with a grown Danny Torrance. The construction of these scenes were very extremely detailed, and it worked to create just that seamless transition into this story. However, from there, it was more than 2 hours of storytelling that felt admittedly long in a few spots. Yes, it uses the time wisely. For the most part, this was a tightly edited film. It's a layered progression through the narrative that does appear to show a really good, strong inspiration from the novel when I went back and looked at some of the bullet points on that, and that's really where it comes down to whether or not this structured storyline is one that's going to intrigue you. For me, it did in places. I enjoyed all the characters. I was able to sort of connect with them all in different ways to keep that appeal going, but it was also a story that positioned itself too much into the supernatural for my taste, which was something that I felt hindered this from being a remotely frightening film outside of a few great sequences. This group called the True Knot just didn't work for me. Rebecca Ferguson, I'll admit, she was amazing as the leader of this nightmarish carnival family. She had an effortless evil charm to the role. She was very creepy. She was imposing, but oddly enough, at the same time, she was a character that, kind of like the rest of her team, felt a little cartoonish. I mean, she captured the screen with each scene, and she had all the charisma that you could ask for, yet it ended up making her feel like a street-level comic book villain, not something that I wanted from a Shining sequel, which translated to only sections of the film being able to grab me. The character motivation and the violence when it hit was impressive, and it would do a good job of pulling me in. McGregor in the lead was very capable. He delivered all the layers of trauma you would expect from his past. Kylie Charlie Curran was excellent as well, with a performance that really captured that needed range of expression without any moments of overacting. But despite these positives, a lack of appeal to the overall focal plot and a very long runtime just kind of made this movie feel fatiguing, thus hindered the performances and the nostalgia from being able to completely carry the entertainment along. On the technical side, I thought this was a nicely crafted film. I thought the scoring and the sound editing did a great job of both capturing that vibe of the first film, but still giving this movie its own tone. It wasn't to the level of the original score from The Shining from Wendy Carlos and Rachel Elkind. I think that's just a complete work of art, but it certainly tries. As for the visuals, they were kind of hit and miss for me. I did enjoy the practical effects when they were used, but there's a heavy reliance on CG. It felt a little bit stale at times. However, when the intensity ramps up and the more horror-themed elements kick in, I thought this movie really did thrive. There's a handful of immersive scenes that showcase some great character moments, some appealing violence, and some great suspense, but there's a lot of movie wrapped around these moments. So overall, I gotta give Dr. Sleep 80% on the entertainment meter. I had a good time with it. It was entertaining. It also did have a studio feel to it. It lacked a lot of that psychological tension that The Shining really excelled at. The performances were great. Their chemistry really worked as well. The connections and recreation of moments from The Shining were all enjoyable for the most part. However, I gotta say the supernatural swing ended up just creating characters that lacked fear, with special effects that kind of felt commonplace for the genre. The Shining to me was a film that felt all to its own, and Dr. Sleep is a movie that I think can easily blend into the genre with the others as the years pass. Now for today's My Silver Screen recommendations, I'm going to be selecting another great movie featuring Ewan McGregor, that being, of course, Trainspotting, as well as another great Stephen King adaptation, of course, being Misery, and finally another solid film from director Mike Flanagan, that being Oculus. 3 movies that are all worth watching if you haven't seen, or still worth watching again if you haven't seen them in a while. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.